This is Scott Spears, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another edition of The Exchange here on WGH Talk Radio, joined as always by Matt Morgan, and now, this episode, joined as a special guest co-host for 2 episodes this week, Glenn Coble, who was on WGH Radio for, I believe, close to 3 years, doing his own program. He's run for mayor, he's run for state representative, he's been around the block, and he's got a big event coming up next week that you're not going to want to miss here in Marion, which we're going to hear about. Also, our friends at myfriendlyforest.com, we're going to feature their election toys. They're not really toys, they're more boutique items during this particular episode, and I'm going to tell you all about that. But go to myfriendlyforest.com. We featured them on this show before, but right up through the election, we're going to feature them on this show continuously. Matt, how do you feel? We've had a couple weeks off. Now we came back, we're decorated for Halloween here in the studio. We've got the cobwebs on the table. We've got the skeletons and the pumpkins behind us. It's that time of year. It's fall, it's harvest, it's autumn, it's Halloween.
Oh, I like this time of year. It's hoodie weather. So
you wear a hoodie all summer long.
Yeah, I know.
What makes the difference?
Well, you see, a hoodie in the summer is more like, because I don't know, I do things in the summer. Like I'll go to my grandpa's and he'll like need help splitting wood or something because they burn wood throughout the winter. And I'll be like, all right, cool. I have long sleeves and I have jeans. I'm safe. It's kind of just that thing. I'm always, ready to do work.
So what's the difference between autumn and summer then?
It's not 94 degrees outside. That's the difference.
Okay, did you understand that, Glenn?
Well, I guess.
Oh, yeah, no, big answer. Let me read between the lines. No, he doesn't. He doesn't understand it. By the way, don't get bit by the spider.
Oh my God.
I know there's a spider on the table. There's spiders all over these cobwebs here on WGH Talk because we love the seasons around here. We get the trees up and the ornaments at Christmas, and we love the spiders and the cobwebs and the pumpkins and the skeletons at Halloween. It's a real seasonal treat around here. Now, the election coming up very soon, and because of that, Glenn, when is your event? What time is it? Where is it? What is it? Tell us all about it.
Well, we'd love anybody to come to our event. It's going to be out at Tri-Rivers in the multi-purpose room at 6:30, and it's free. And we've invited, I think, all of the Democratic candidates. We would let the Republican candidates come if they'd like to, but nobody's said they wanted to come. But we're pretty sure. Well, we know we have commitments from Leslie Verbus, who's running for state rep.
It's Tracy Richardson.
Yes. And Craig Swartz, who's on the other side of that state rep. We're divided kind of in half in Marion. So he's the other half of it. We also have a lady who is really responsible for this is Tammy Wilson on my shirt. Tammy is running against Jim Jordan for Congress. And let's see, who else do we have coming? Mary Ellen Withrow is going to be there. She's a guest. We're going to have her be a guest speaker. So we'd love to have you there because, how high can you get? We can't invite the president. He or she has got too many things going on. And so we stepped down to the treasurer, the United States treasurer. And she said she'll be there. Who else? Mike Larson, who is a nationally known comedian, is going to be our MC. So it should be a nice night. We've invited Sherrod Brown. We don't know anything about Sherrod yet. He's got a few things going on. So we haven't gotten the commitment back from him. But he has been invited, and Tammy tells me that she's going to invite him, and she says if I invite him, he'll be there. Well,
Well, I'll tell you what, if he doesn't show, then this will really say something that night.
Well,
first question will be, Tammy, where's Sherrod?
Yeah, well, that's going to be my first question anyway. So we're hoping, and if he can't make it, we've asked his brother. I love his brother's name, Charlie Brown. I played Charlie Brown in theater.
You're going to have Charlie Brown there?
Yeah.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Right there.
I think it's perfect. If Sherrod Brown can't make it, Charlie Brown will be there. So anyway, we're going to have a good night. We're going to open it up. We've got room enough for a couple hundred people, and we're going to open it up to anybody to come to it, free of charge. We're going to have all the signs. If you need a sign for Harris, or you need a sign for Verbus, or any of the candidates, we'll have them there. Wilson, we'll have all that we can get there, and you can pick them up and take them home. We'll have a question and answer period where you can ask these politicians any question you want to. We're not going to stymie people. We're going to allow people to ask, even the tough ones, and we love to have them ask the tough questions. So that'll be Friday at 6:30 out at Tri Rivers in the multi-purpose room. Now, it's not this Friday; it's the following Friday.
That would be October. This Friday's
17th or 18th. It's one of those two.
I believe 18th. I believe,
18th,
isn't it? Because
okay.
this Friday's the 11th.
Okay, yeah, 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the 18th.
We really want to have a nice crowd for all these candidates. We want to show, especially the Democratic candidates, that there are a lot of Democratic supporters here in this county. We want to show the state party. We've been in touch with them, asking them to help support this. And we've been telling them that Marion's a place that the state Democratic Party needs to get involved, and hopefully this will help.
What about the local Democratic Party?
We've asked them to get the word out to all their members. We're hoping that they will bring all their members to this event. You never know until the event comes off. That's one of the things I always hated about. I've been in charge of programs like this all my life, and one of the problems with public relations is you might have. Like I told you before we were on the air, I had a invitation for people to come to a dog training thing. I figured we'd have a few people there. We had 2. And that just tears your guts out inside when that's all you can get. But I've had other ones where, like, if Sherrod does show up, I have a feeling we won't have room enough in Tri Rivers to fit everybody. But so we can go either way. But we want you there, and we'd like to have you there, and you too there, and we'll invite anybody who wants to come to be there for nothing. Now, it'll only be a couple hours. It's not going to be long.
And the name of the group putting it on is?
Citizens for Democracy.
All right. Now, what is this, basically, Citizens for Democracy?
Well, there were 3 of us that were sitting together, and we were concerned that people didn't see that we could lose our opportunity to have a democracy in this country. And we were just sitting there, and we said, well, let's put on some events, and we've already done several. Let's put on some events that'll remind people that we have to support a democracy. You can't just say we've got one and then go home and take a nap. You've got to support it. So that's what it's all about. It's really an offshoot of the local Democrats, because we're all Democrats, but it's also intended to promote democracy, not just being a Democrat. We want people to know that if we lose our democracy, we won't be a country anymore.
Now, what kind of events have you done leading up to this?
Well, just lots of invitations. We've sent out. We've take out lots of signs to people. We've had group get-togethers to talk about things that we're doing. We haven't had any big thing like this Friday thing we're going to do, but we've had get-togethers to try to woodshed, I guess you would call it, on what we can do to improve the United States. And the 3 of us who are, well, you know all of them, I believe. Terry Brown, Dr. Terry Brown is on our group of 3. And of course, you know Fred Mullen, Malone. I'm
yes.
sorry, and then myself, and the 3 of us are kind of spearheading it. We've had other people help us a lot, but that's the group, and we hope that we will get more people out. I also have an event coming up, speaking of Fred, Night with the Presidents. And
Yes, dinner with the presidents.
you won't recognize me.
You'll be James Buchanan.
James Buchanan, the second worst. I saw this on television. They were rating the presidents. I won't tell you who the second worst was, but James Buchanan was at the bottom of the list.
Well, and now I wonder now, James Buchanan, I mean, it's not like we're speaking out of school here, but James Buchanan, what most people know about it, do you want to say it?
He's dead.
No, he's dead. Yes, he is dead. But James Buchanan was, this maybe explains why he is a poor president on the list. One fact that most people seem to know about James Buchanan is...
Well, he was a single man, and there's been a lot of rumors that he was gay.
That he was gay.
But...
in his day, which would have been the 1800s.
Yeah.
Yes.
1850s. He never professed being gay, but his best friend was, I knew I'd forget his name. Anyway, he ran for vice president, and I can't remember his name. But anyway, they lived together. But he points out in some autobiographical information that a lot of congressmen, senators that had to work in Washington, D.C. all year long, they lived with their buddies.
But he never had a woman around, I think is the problem.
Well,
right?
he was engaged to a young lady who eventually committed suicide, not because of him, we don't think, but because of her family didn't like him. And they were.
This is a horrible thing to laugh at, but I think every 100 years you can find some levity in these type of things.
Well, her family didn't want her to marry him, and
she could have been first lady.
Yeah, she ended up being a dead lady.
Dead lady, yeah. Well, that's a rough life.
What a story.
So, do you believe because you've had to research this man to speak on his behalf? Do you believe he was homosexual?
I believe it's none of my business.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's your business. I'm just saying, what is your guess as a man who has researched him? Do you believe he leans more toward homosexuality or misunderstood?
I saw nothing in everything I've read that would lead me to believe that he was definitely a homosexual.
Then why does he get painted that way?
Because he was the only single president ever. And you know how people are. They like to make noise.
Well, but I mean, you could have a wife and still be homosexual. I don't think that's,
Not back then. Back then.
Well, not outwardly, but you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there have been rumors about Abraham Lincoln being a homosexual, and certainly he had a wife.
Yeah.
And kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a bullet hole in the back of his head.
Well, that didn't help. That didn't help things.
Didn't help at all.
God, there's a lot of deaths surrounding these people who've had these rumors about them.
When you start talking about presidents, you're going to talk about a lot of dead people.
Well, there are a lot of dead people. But my assertion, because there have been, my deduction, I guess is maybe more the correct word here. My deduction on Mr. Buchanan is that other presidents have married women who were a lot younger than them, have went into the White House as bachelor, not a lot, but some have been divorced. He really gets painted with the homosexual brush when the others did not. So I tend to believe he probably was, because I don't think that could stick for more than a century if it were not true. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that now that we look back at it.
I have never seen anything in writing where he wrote down anything that sounded homosexual.
Did he write down something that sounded heterosexual?
Not really.
There you go.
He was great friends with this gentleman who I can't remember his name, who ended up being vice president and died within a month after being vice president. Why can't I remember his name? Anyway, no, I've never seen anything where people in writing said he was gay. Other people. And you would think that somebody would have brought that up at that time.
Why do we think it if nobody brought it up?
Because he was the only single
But there's got to
president.
be more to it than that. Are we all? I think
I
other
don't
people
know.
would have been credited with it. There had to be something, don't you think, Matt? I mean, it couldn't just be that he's the only single president.
I would think there's got to be more to it than that, but I mean, I don't really know. I didn't even know that he was allegedly gay. So there's
Allegedly.
Yeah, it has to be alleged because nobody's ever proved it one way or the other.
But isn't it sad that he could have been the first gay president and now he won't be?
He could have been the first gay president long ago.
I don't care if he's gay or not.
No, but we care about firsts.
Yeah, but no, I don't care about the first gay president. I don't. The fact that
Well, you might be playing the first gay president.
that Pete Buttigieg is gay,
There you go.
and I think we need to leave Buchanan as much alone as most people leave Buttigieg alone.
No, but if Buttigieg were running or elected, they would say first gay president. I mean, that would just be what it would be.
I guess it's not something I worry about. That
Well, I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying that's what would happen. And if this man was gay, I think it's interesting that he will never get the credit because there's some ambiguity on his sexuality.
yeah, well, that doesn't.
Poor
bother-
James Buchanan.
It doesn't bother me at all.
Well, no, he's dead. What do you think, Matt? I mean, I think it matters. I think firsts matter. I think the first African-American president, certainly everybody knows who that is. We have never had a woman president. That is constantly said. That matters, whether or not, it is or it is not.
How do these things matter?
Well, because a first is a first.
Okay, so it's just
I think-
because they're a first.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's
Yeah.
just the idea that it's important because it's the first time it ever happened.
And the fact that it's been so much one-sided. I mean, what was it? 40-something? Over 40 white men? I mean, still no woman? 250 years in, here we are?
47.
Is it 47? They'd be the 47.
Well,
46?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 46 in?
Yeah.
Yeah. And only one woman up until this year has ever ran?
It proves one thing.
Gotten the nomination by a party? Major party?
It proves one thing:
What's that?
how ignorant the American people are.
But it matters. See,
I suppose.
Yeah.
It proves that we're ignorant.
Well, I don't. What do you think, Matt?
I don't know. I don't know how those two things correlate, but
I think it works for them in a way.
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's always going to be somebody who says, this is the first. Gotta vote for that one.
But we also say the oldest. We know who the oldest and youngest. We certainly know the youngest. I mean, this is not. We know the Catholic, first Catholic. I mean, it's not like we don't know other firsts.
Yeah. Okay. It's just not something I worry about.
No, it's not so much a worry. It's just that.
It's not something I think about. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe it hasn't happened.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting. I was listening to a show yesterday where they were talking about Kamala being the first female.
Yeah, there you go.
And why there haven't been. And the theory was because the American people want a tough president. They want somebody that can get out there with the boxing gloves and have a boxing match with somebody. I think we would be far better, and I've told my wife this many times, I think we'll be far better off with a female because the testosterone doesn't run quite so deep.
Now you make a statement like that, but that's exactly the statement I was making just the other way.
Okay.
You say, I think we'll be better off with a female. That's saying with a female. And I'm saying...
I think we'll be better off with somebody with less testosterone.
Which could have been James Buchanan, for all we know.
It could have been.
We
And that's
really
why
don't know.
I don't care.
And he ended up not dead last on the list of presidents.
He was dead last, and I will tell you that Trump was second to last. So.
Well, there you go. I don't know what his testosterone's like. I have no idea.
Obviously, it's much higher than James Buchanan.
Might have been. Might have been. I know Harding had some testosterone.
Yeah.
And we found out about 100 years later that there it was.
Did they ever find Mr. Harding's doggy's collar?
No. And there's still a $5,000 reward. Matt and I were talking about that today. Isn't that weird? $5,000 reward on that. And no charges will be pressed.
Jeez.
What a mess.
I feel bad for the puppy dog. He's up.
Well, he's dead too.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna say,
up in-
I think
You don't
he's-
worry about the dead people. Don't worry about the dead dog.
Yeah,
think
but
the
he
dog's doing
crossed
fine.
that.
Laddie boy's dead too.
Crossed that rainbow bridge without his collar. Oh well.
Well, no, the collar was there when he crossed the rainbow.
Oh,
bridge.
did he?
Yeah, the collar
it
wasn't
was after-
stolen until 2012.
Oh, okay, I didn't
Yeah, the
know.
dog wasn't 100 and something years old.
No, they don't usually live there.
No. But it was a nice dog, from what I understand.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite presidential dog?
Probably Millie, the Bush's dog.
Mine is Fala,
Yeah.
Roosevelt's dog.
But Millie wrote a book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. That's why I like her. She was literacy.
She had
Uh,
a
It was a
opposable
bestseller.
thumbs.
Bestseller.
Wasn't Teddy? Didn't Teddy Roosevelt have like a whole bear? They live in the
A
White
bear?
House? Yeah.
No.
No, that you're thinking of.
That was Mrs. Roosevelt.
No, you're thinking of Kennedy's relative who killed the bear and dragged him over to the.
Man, I would have loved to have this
Kennedy?
bear.
No, not Kennedy.
Not Kennedy. I don't think up in what is that, Massachusetts? They're dragging bears around.
Well,
Who's the president that
Kennedy-
killed all kinds of weird animals in the White
I don't think
House?
at Hyannisport they were dragging around dead animals.
who was the guy that picked up a dead bear thing that he found on the road and was taking it home? He's running for vice president with.
Oh no,
J.D. Vance?
No. He was running for vice
Well,
president
yeah,
again.
I would think he's the type of guy to have
Anyway.
a bear.
no. It would have been a while back. It was.
I bet Teddy Roosevelt did have all sorts of critters in the
Well,
White
certainly.
House.
He was
Yeah.
a tough guy.
Well, he died on a
have to be
hunting
a-
trip.
You don't have to be tough to have animals.
No, he died in his bed.
After a hunting trip.
Several years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, happens, I guess.
Whatever.
Look, all I know is that the hunting trip
I'm
was
not
our
here.
cause, okay?
No, he got sick on the hunting trip, but
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, but
did.
he recovered. I mean, matter of fact, he wanted to go participate in World War One, and they wouldn't let him. So he just died.
Why?
I mean, his sons had been killed in World War One, and I think a lot was on his plate when he died. He died in his bed
He could have just. Why didn't they let him go fight in World War One?
because you don't want a former president out there getting killed.
Oh no, I don't know. I think having a former president out on the front lines would be such a morale booster to the troops. I don't think. Look, he's a former president. He's not the president now. He's a soldier now. Former president.
Why would that boost
think that's an
morale?
An interesting point.
I think that'd be a morale boost.
So you want to send?
He wanted to go. It's not like I'm being like, hey, look, I have a brilliant idea. He said, hey, can I go? I would be like, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, but we don't like
That's
having presidents
that's a
murdered.
prop-
Didn't
that's
we
a-
talk about that?
That's a propaganda move.
You think
right
that's
there.
not for the other side to shoot at? Hey, there's
I
your
mean-
president. We're gonna blow their head off.
Well, he's not the president.
I will
Well,
guarantee-
but he is. He's a former president.
Former.
We honor former presidents.
in war, I doubt that you'd know who it was.
Yeah, I think you're just getting shot at and people are shooting at
they'd
you.
find out.
I don't know that they're.
Maybe.
Oh well, I mean, I don't know that they're gonna find out who killed him. I mean, I assume that if he got shot and killed in the line of duty, I think they'd probably find him at some point. And be like, well, somebody got him.
He's a president. We have state funerals for president.
He'd be a martyr.
He's dead. What difference does it? Oh, who cares about former presidents?
Apparently, we do. We're sitting here talking about him.
I care about James.
No, we care about the
Buchanan.
history of him. Well, you said you didn't care.
I really do. I love him dearly.
as did so many other men along the way.
No comment.
I know that's way. So when people ask you, because I'm sure it comes up at the dinner,
Yeah.
when they say, "Are you gay?" What do you say?
I say I'll leave that up to history to decide.
Oh, so you don't clear him.
No, because I say it's none of my business, and it's none of anybody's business if he doesn't want to announce it.
What's the most commonly asked question?
That's probably the most common.
There you go, because people want to know.
Yeah, and I'm not going to tell them.
Like you don't know.
I'm James Buchanan. I definitely know.
You do know. You should have a really good answer for that.
Well, I thought that was a good answer. I will leave it up to.
No, but how would he act really? Because I don't think that would be his answer.
I think it
In
would, because he was very diplomatic, shall I say?
I think that.
No, I think he'd be angry.
I think that if somebody asked him if he was,
Are you gay?
Yeah, I think he probably would just say no.
You can mind your own business.
I think he'd probably say
He
no.
might say that, but I don't think he knew what the word gay meant back then to what it means today.
Well, I mean,
I mean, you might say, were you a homosexual?
Yeah, but-
that'd be different.
I think he'd be angry. Even if he was a homosexual, I think he would respond angrily in that time.
I'm trying to think what I personally would feel. And I don't think I'd feel anything like that. I think I would just say it's none of your business.
Right, but in James Buchanan in his day, I think it would have been a slight.
It's a different
And
thing.
he would have thought it to be a knock, and why are you asking me this?
He might ask that last question.
I think that's a good question. Because then, see, it's on the person at the dinner, how you think they would answer that.
Why
Why are you asking me this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So
I'm going to use that.
I think you should use that. That would liven that table right up. That would get things going.
This year I am going with my secretary, who really is going to be the speaker for our table. We're together, but James Buchanan's secretary was basically his first lady, and she was a secretary and also a niece. And
Man, he's just had his whole family in the White House.
yeah,
Nepotism.
it sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? I remember a president not too
Yeah, I feel
long
like
back.
I remember that
Everybody's
somewhere.
brother was in the. Yeah. Anyway.
So, who's this woman?
Shoot, I forget her name now. She's his niece.
Who was also his secretary.
I think she was partly secretary, but she was mainly the niece and first lady.
Who plays her?
I should have brought my notes. I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, don't worry. It's coming up though.
She played her last time we had presidents, and she was excellent. And we'll have her again. Only she's going to be the feature at our table, not me. I'm just sitting there as a president.
But I'm sure they'll ask you.
If they want to, they can.
Well, because how many people know about the secretary?
Well, they're going to find out. Actually, I think she was more his niece, and the secretarial stuff was just sidebar stuff.
Do you know how she's going to answer these questions?
I do not.
You,
And I'm supposed to call her within the week, so
yeah,
I
because
will
you
find
know
out.
it's going to be is your uncle.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I doubt that she will say anything about that, because she wasn't asked that when we were together at the last president's thing.
But they were talking to you at that point, right?
Yeah, and nobody really asked me that, except for away from the table. People came up to me at the end of the thing and asked me that question.
Nobody wanted to ask in the group session.
Right. It's discreet. Yeah. It's just like Harding asking about, the closet at the White House.
Oh.
Everybody's got their picadillos.
Yeah.
That's right.
The closet.
The closet. Isn't that funny that you look back over time and almost every president has some kind of picadillo.
A lot of them have affairs, like a lot of them.
That's a picadillo.
Well, yeah, I know, but
James Buchanan certainly
of
was
them.
not affairs. It was possibly homosexuality.
Thank goodness.
What is-
Clinton
so,
didn't
like-
have any.
No.
Was he actually a bad president, or like did people
He
just?
was not a good president,
Okay.
because he kind of rode the fence and really didn't. He could have could have put a slowdown on the Civil War and did not. He was a Northerner who supported the Southern ideas, so kind of a wishy-washy guy. He was a great politician before he became a president, though. He really was. He was considered very good.
Man, could you imagine being a good politician just to get appointed to the highest office and then you just
Blow it.
He got elected, wasn't he
Flop.
elected?
Yeah, he was elected.
you just flop? All right,
Who
yeah,
did
I
he
guess.
beat?
Oh, shoot. I forget. I'm sorry. I didn't bring my notes tonight.
Now, do you have notes there at the table?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting.
I try to hide them from people, but I don't know.
You should come in here and do an interview as James Buchanan.
I'll be glad to.
That would be fun before we
Oh,
did. Where
yes.
would James Buchanan get up?
Would he get up?
Oh,
do you mean?
where the get up?
Oh, sure.
Yes,
I have the get up.
That'd be fun.
Would he get up?
Well, he'd get up depending on who was on the other side of the bed. That's what it's all about.
I have a neat top hat. I have.
There you go.
I look really.
For Halloween, that'd be great.
Okay.
It's right before dinner with the election and the Halloween and the dinner with the presidents,
talking
all
to-
right there together.
You're talking to
Invite
a
me
dead
and
guy
we'll
on
do it.
Monday?
We'll do it. All right, we're going to make that happen. And we'll do it on camera so you can see it.
Sure.
Perfect. All right, we're coming back with our friendly Forrest election gifts for that favorite person in your family right after this. Hey, and we're back here on the Exchange. Glenn Coble, Matt Morgan. What goes on during the break? Only if you knew. Now, Glenn, your event coming up on October the 18th, Tri-Rivers, free to the public.
Free to the public, 6:30. We'll talk with all the candidates, all the Democratic candidates that we can get there from Linda Harris, running for treasurer. I think that's right.
Let's hope.
All the way up to Sherrod Brown, if he can make it. So we'd love to have
6:30
you
free admission. Tri-Rivers.
free admission, multi-purpose room at Tri-Rivers.
Now, our friends at Our Friendly Forest have sent us some. Oh, I don't even know. They're not toys, but that's what you would tend to call them. And every election cycle, they come out, and they've come out this time, and they've sent them to us, and we thank them. Go to ourfriendlyforest.com, O-U-R, friendlyforest.com, and check out these items. They're great. But interestingly enough, this year, they are not of both candidates. Now, we talked to the owner of the company, and the reason for that is, number one, Kamala got in the race late, so there are no items for her. And also, he said there's not a lot to make fun of there, because most of these items are comedy pieces. Because so they're all Trump items, is basically what I'm saying.
Because he's
funny? No, basically, if you like Trump, you would like these items because they're Trump items. But if you don't like Trump, you would like these items because they're a little comical.
Okay, and you can burn them.
Well, I don't know about that, but here we go. Now, this apparently is even out of stock at this point. Now, Glenn, I know you'll want this. This is what is called the Donald Trump birthday card. Now, on the outside of the card, it says, "Making your birthday great again."
Do you have a lighter that I can use?
No, you haven't got the half of it yet, Glenn. Get ready. Okay. Here we go. Get ready for this.
Oh, my
Earlier
gosh.
this week, I understand you marked another important milestone. I know everyone here joins me in wishing you a very happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Wonderful.
Isn't that great?
Actually, it is quite
Look
neat.
at that.
It is quite neat.
Isn't that and apparently they cannot keep these in stock. Your very own Donald Trump birthday card.
What was the name of that artwork where it pops out like that? There's a name for that. I had it when I was a kid. I had all sorts of books you'd open up and it would pop out like that.
But there's microchips in these, and that people
That's
talk.
kind of
That's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
So now, not to be outdone, because the holidays are right around the corner.
Okay.
You've got the Donald Trump Christmas card. I'm sure you'll be waiting for this one, Glenn. I've got it already.
I want to see what it opens up
Okay.
to.
Now on the front, it's a wreath, and it says "Making Your Christmas Great Again." Now get ready.
Oh, she's still with him.
Did the microchip malfunction there? Something happened.
Must have, yeah.
I just wanted to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. We say Christmas again very proudly. You're going to have a great year. It'll be an incredible year.
And Melania's there, Glenn. Look,
Yeah.
Melania
Melania?
and Don
Yeah.
in the White House with a Christmas tree.
I like the idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah.
You haven't seen anything yet, Glenn. Those are the lowball items.
Oh, my.
Now, if you want to sign your Christmas card and you want to sign your birthday card, what do you need? The Donald Trump pen. The Donald Trump talking pen.
That's the last thing I would want.
Now get ready for this, folks, because this is showbiz right here. You just push down on the man's head.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
Oh, my God. Excuse me.
Look, I'm really rich.
There you go.
You
I
mean
will build a
even
great,
his little...
great wall
even
on our
his
southern
little-
border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall.
It says 8 things.
Even his little pen lies.
And you
That's
just
hard to-
push. You just push on. Isn't that a great item, Glenn? This is where it all
No.
started. This is where it all started. This is what got the company rolling.
I'll tell you what, whoever thought those things up was really good at PR.
And by the way, their phone number 727-210-6142, ourfriendlyforest.com. Now,
Why is it called Our Friendly Forest?
that's the name of the company.
Yeah, do they have property with trees on it, or?
They have other items. Now,
Okay.
here you go. The figurine. The Donald Trump figurine. You want to hit the button, Glenn?
No.
Okay. Oh, hit the button, Glenn. Right in there, the little red button.
No.
No. is this like a...
I don't want to help him in any way
Okay.
I can.
Matt, hit the button.
Matt's good.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
Give him one more.
ISIS has spread like cancer. What a mess I inherited.
So now this doll,
That's hard to
Yikes.
listen to.
this says about 20 things.
Okay.
Now the item that's got everybody loves the next item. Even Mary Ellen Withrow liked
Oh,
this
yeah,
next
I
item.
Can't imagine she liked any of these.
And she was okay with them.
Yeah, she thought they
You
were
want,
fun.
you want to sit Don next door
Oh,
to you?
I'm sorry. Yes.
There you go. You and Don together at last. You want me to get you one of these for the Night of Democracy?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, now, Glenn, you gotta agree. This next item is. This is. I'm telling you.
Okay.
You've heard of the Magic 8 Ball.
Yeah, sure.
This is the Presidential Predicto.
Oh, well, that's probably the way he predicted all of his choices.
Now, you gotta take this out of the box to make it work.
Yeah.
But this is fascinating. Presidential Predicto. Now, what you gotta do is you gotta take old Presidential Predicto out of there and turn it on, and you have to ask it a question. Presidential Predicto, who will win the 2024 election?
No one.
It always needs a little bit of work. Oh.
Ooh, that's kind of neat.
I think it's totally ridiculous.
Yeah,
He
I
thinks
do.
the election's total. Matt, ask it a question.
Donald Trump, former president, Mr. Donald Trump here. Are you going to win the election this year?
Don't worry about it.
Glenn, you gotta ask it a question.
Is there a spot in hell set aside for you?
We'll see what happens.
Well, that's the Presidential Predicto.
That would be a great thing for all of humanity.
It would.
Well, there you go. Isn't that a great item, Glenn?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
People like that.
I need to get me one of those.
Now, we'll be giving these away on WGH Talk because thank you to ourfriendlyforest.com. They have sent us duplicates of all these
that's
items
very
to give
nice.
away on the air.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's, elections bring out the best in everybody, Glenn.
yeah,
Something
I
like
hope they do.
I think it's great.
I will be counting on what you just said. Bringing out the best on that.
No, don't you think, though? I mean, I think these toys and things of that nature,
I think it's a great PR thing.
it lowers
Yeah.
the temperature on what is a very serious time.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but okay.
Okay, well, there you are. So what do you make of items like these, Glenn?
I think somebody is worth their salt. In putting those together. That's really a cool idea.
And I believe you probably couldn't do these items with Kamala.
I don't know why not. You would do them differently, but
I think people would take it as making fun of her, and I doubt they would sell as well.
yeah, I agree with that. I think having Donald Trump's name on any goofy thing like that is going to sell better.
Well, he's somebody we've known for a long time, 40 plus years.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think?
I certainly think that. I think that if they made Kamala ones, they would sell. I think it would just, I think it would just be.
A good PR person have to find the right questions, I think.
I just think that I think that Donald Trump certainly has more of a following who might like this kind of thing. I mean, to be fair, I need to get me one of those presidential predictos. Those things are cool.
See, everybody likes it. So, Matt, now here
like
we
it.
are in the home stretch. We're under 30 days. You, for a long time, stood out in the old independent lane. Now, where are we with 20-something days left to go?
Still leaning farther one way than the other.
Well, tell people what the thing is.
What thing?
How you got to where you got.
What do you?
Like, who... Okay, it's Trump, it's
Yep.
Harris, and it's those independent people. So, where are you on the spectrum?
Well, there's a zero chance that there will be a vote for Donald Trump.
Okay, let's start right there. Why is there zero chance for a vote for Trump?
I think that when Trump was president, there was a lot of abuse of powers and things like that. January 6th was a thing. He got real friendly with Putin, which probably wasn't.
You know,
the
we
best
just learned
idea.
today that apparently in Bob Woodward's book that Trump stayed in touch with Putin after the presidency,
Oh,
and
that's
also
good.
apparently he sent him COVID kits at the height of COVID in May of 2020
That none of us could get.
when the United States needed them.
That's cool. I like. Oh, look at that. They're tacking on.
Well,
the
that was it.
list.
Now, I should say that Trump denied it, and J.D. Vance said,
Yeah, that's probably what he said.
no, he said it wasn't a complete denial. It was something like it's in the past or something like that. And
He
if he
always
wanted
says that.
if he wanted
Yeah.
to stay in touch with somebody, what's wrong with that? I think is basically more or less what he said.
That's the way he answers a lot of questions that he doesn't want to answer. It's in the past.
So, okay, you wouldn't vote for Trump, abuse of the power. Okay, so that gets you to Harris and Chase Oliver and Jill Stein.
Yep.
Okay, so we're getting close.
I think you ought to be allowed to go into the booth without telling you.
I'm not asking. No, I'm saying.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I won't say who I'm leaning towards, but I mean, it won't. I mean, it won't be Trump. I will say that.
But now here's what's interesting. Why has this become a thing that people will not say who they're voting for? I have never seen so much of this in my life as this particular election. It's fascinating, and I don't know what that. Are they afraid somebody's going to club them if they say?
I mean, I don't think it's that. I mean, I think if it was that, I mean, I don't know. I said I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, so it's pretty much like it's the same concept as not voting for Donald Trump. I guess I would assume. I know so. I don't think it's that. I think people are just crazy about politics now.
So it is. People are fearful to tell.
Well, I mean, it's just not so much fearful. It's just a waste of my time. Like, I know who I'm gonna vote for, probably, and you know who you're gonna vote for, probably. So, like, I mean,
No, but what I guess what brought you to your conclusion is maybe my more important question.
What do you mean?
Well, how did you decide on who you're going to vote for?
I don't think he has decided.
Well, you said
Have
you're
you?
leaning one way.
Well, yeah, I'm leaning more one way than the other, but I mean, it's not.
So what leaned you in that direction?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Well, I mean, there's reasonings, I guess, but I mean,
He's still weighing. I think.
Glenn, who are you voting for?
I don't think you have to ask, do you?
Right. What brought you to that conclusion?
Because, well, first of all, I think this year, as in most years, but this year specifically, you have to have bravery to be a politician. And I think she is by far the bravest of the politicians. And I think at this time, I want a president who can be brave, strong, but empathetic to the American public, and I think she is.
So, Matt, what brought you to your conclusion?
I'm not sure. Not sure I want to say, I guess is how I should phrase it.
Because it'll give it away.
Probably.
Okay. You know what's interesting, and I've said this on the air, the only reason I would not tell somebody, for myself, is because of the journalistic integrity of it. But if I was not doing this, I really would tell somebody. I don't know what would be I wouldn't feel like the roof was going to cave in on me. And I think most people who aren't telling, if you really took an educated guess, you could probably come up with it anyway, because just of their verbiage.
I don't think I've ever said out loud who I'm voting for until this election.
Till this moment.
Until this election. I've told a lot of people this election. But
Oh, no. During the Biden election, we had discussions.
Did
you
we?
were on the air during that time.
yeah, maybe
Oh,
I
yeah.
did. But it was against my family's judgment. We never talked politics in my family. My father was a Methodist minister and a devout Republican. My mother was also a Republican. We just didn't talk politics, and it was looked down upon to talk politics, much like it was looked down upon to say how much money you made a year.
You know what's interesting? I find it fascinating that there are a lot of first-time voters who I happen to know this year who got in and registered before this week, which was the last week to register.
Last night.
Yeah, and what was fascinating to me was they all say the same thing, which is interesting. They all say, I would not vote for Trump under any circumstance. I would not, but they won't commit to Harris. And, it's interesting.
They don't want the friends that have the Trump signs next door to them. They don't want to have that person casting dispersions.
Yeah, but like Matt, it's complicated to me because clearly you've already put the Trump people off because you've told us I am not voting for him. Well, so that's not a consideration here. So I'm wondering if you said Harris or whoever, who's getting put off in that? Because you've already taken a stand. You said I'm not voting Republican. I'm not voting Trump under any circumstance. So you've already told us something.
No, I did never say I would not vote Republican.
In this election.
I said I would not vote Trump.
In this election.
In this election.
Right. So you've told us that, but you won't tell us who it is. That's interesting, because you've already told us who it's not.
You'll
tell us who it's not,
yeah,
but you won't tell us who it is.
I've been saying that I dislike Trump and that I won't vote for Trump since before I could vote. So I've been on the radio for a little
year and a half.
Yeah, a little over a year now. So in a little over a year, I'm sure it's come up many a time, and I'm sure it came up when I was unable to vote. So it's just one of those things. It's been known, and that's fine. Trump won't be here much longer, ideally.
Well, or maybe he will.
Maybe he will.
He's the same age I am. I hope you're not saying we're all going to die
No. Well, I'll tell you something that's interesting. So you don't see this as a binary choice, Glenn, like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney, who has said, I don't agree with Kamala Harris on anything, but Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, so I'm going to go to rallies and we're going to support Kamala Harris, even though I disagree with 90% of her policies.
Yeah.
So you don't see it as a binary choice.
Well, what are you calling a binary choice?
Two people.
You do have two choices.
Well, no, that's what Matt. If we had two choices, we'd know who Matt was voting for.
You got like 5 choices.
Well, you have two choices. Well, yeah, you do. But let's say you have two choices. Trump
they're not on the ballot.
And Harris. Trump and Harris are two choices.
Right.
When you walk in there, you still have two choices. But in my case, I'm only voting for. I know who I'm voting for.
But Oliver and Stein will be on the ticket, on the ballot.
I vote. Actually, my wife would kill me if I didn't vote a person that had a chance to win.
So you don't believe in the Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney model that these long-term former Republican vice president under George W. Bush, in that this is a binary choice and throwing your vote away is what you're doing when you're voting third party.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I agree with that. I think Matt will be thrown away if he doesn't vote for one or the other.
Yeah.
But I think it's his choice and none of my business.
Well, it's always nobody's business, but I'm just saying there is no way that Chase Oliver's going to win. There is no way that Jill Stein is going to win. So I think there is a certain, it's not like Ross Perot. There was a shot that he could have won.
Don't tell my wife, but I did vote for him.
There you go. And he garnered, I think, over 20% of the popular vote, or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
So there was a chance, but with these two, there's no chance. They're not even polling 1% in the states that they're in. So what's going to happen on election day? Are people going to come home to a certain candidate? That's what I wonder.
Well, I know who's going to win the popular vote. I have no doubt in my mind that Harris will win the popular vote. My concern is...
Trump has never won the popular vote.
No. And that's my concern, is that he'll win the Electoral College either by hook or by crook. I don't know which. But, I'm scared to death that the Electoral College will give it away like they did several times recently.
What did you make of the vice presidential debate?
It was kind of boring to start with. And then I thought Walz started to win it, and I think nailed the coffin closed with the final question that J.D. Vance would not respond to. Do you think that Biden won the election. And he said, well, I'm not living in the past. I'm living in the future, not in the past. Well, that's BS. And I agree with Walls on that.
What do you think?
I really enjoyed the vice presidential debate. It wasn't a lot of it's debate, so I guess it's arguing to some extent. But it wasn't like the 2016 debate, and it wasn't like the Joe Biden, Donald Trump debates. It was a lot cleaner, a lot more of what debates used to be. Like I agree a lot with Senator Vance, and vice versa. So, I think that was good. I think in the beginning, Vance probably was leading. If you want to refer to it that way, but only because I think Walls was a little nervous.
Yeah.
Like he was stuttering a little bit, and he was slow to get his words out, and J.D. Vance was just on it.
Vance is really good debater.
Yeah, I had high expectations.
He's from
Vance
Yale.
I had high expectations from him coming off the rip because he's from Yale, and.
But when he started,
but in the middle, when Walls picked up, when Walls got more comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
it was. I thought it was pretty close then, but I think towards the end, like you said, especially when he asked if he thought Trump lost the race, I think that pretty much
that
sealed
was a
it.
coup de grace.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem was they didn't allow fact checking, and I think JD complained that one time it sounded like a fact check, but it really wasn't. But anyway, I think had they fact checked him throughout the whole time, and I was fact checking him along with my wife, we found an awful lot of inconsistent answers on his part. But he is so good at being a debater. He is so smooth that you kind of liked him.
A lot of politicians are like that, though. JD Vance is just the one I can think of off the top of my head because of the vice presidential debate. But I guess it happened during the presidential debate too, but with Harris and Trump. But a lot of the times, they'd ask questions of the candidates, and then the candidates would just be like, of course they got to hit you with, I'm so glad you asked that, and then they'd go into some long spew that had nothing to do with the question you asked.
Yeah, I hate that.
And I noticed
that means I'm not so glad you asked that.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer that question.
Yeah.
So that happened with during the that happens. And if you're not paying attention, you will not catch that happened.
Mm-hmm.
you just follow right along with the answer.
They're too smooth, yeah.
What did you make of the whole Springfield, Ohio situation? I think that was the moment in the debate in which J.D. Vance felt he was fact-checked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they never told us whether cats or dogs taste better. I thought that was the dumbest thing that the Republican Party allowed to be brought up. They should have. That is just stupid.
But people believe it.
And that's even stupider.
I had the mayor of Springfield on my show, Rob Rue, and the man was receiving death threats. The man had protests on his lawn. It was unbelievable. He said he was fearful for his life.
One of the things that they have found out is that the Republican Party right now is of a lower educational level than the Democratic Party, and I think they're proving it.
Well, what do you think, Matt?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know what
I'm
to
so
say.
glad you asked that.
I'm not supposed to say things like that. I'm sorry. I believe it, but I don't say it.
I don't know. I think that it's.
By the way, if you don't remember this whole thing, Trump said in the presidential debate that they're eating cats and dogs in Springfield, and it caused a whole bunch of trouble over in Springfield, over 30 bomb threats in 20 days, and so on and so forth.
And they're continuing it.
There you go.
They are continuing it.
Well, because people still say, I don't know. The onus now is to prove that something is phony, which you can't do.
If something doesn't exist, you can't prove that it's not there.
If the mayor says it doesn't exist, wouldn't you think that's a pretty good sign?
No, that's when apparently you go and sit on the mayor's lawn.
We have a caller who likes to say that he doesn't know because he's not there. He hasn't
That's true in all cases.
That kind of thing. And I was like, all right. So and I was like, but the mayor has said it didn't happen. J.D. Vance walked it back and pretty good and well during the vice presidential debate. Said that he made up the story.
Yeah, he did.
Sheriff?
Yeah, the sheriff said it's not real.
City manager?
Yep, the city manager. DeWine said it's not true.
Yeah, DeWine got kind of angry about it.
I don't know.
He's from Springfield.
I don't know. I don't know what more you want.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. Well, he wants to drum up a lot of murders and chaos.
Well, I don't know what that was all about, but whatever. People will believe what they believe, and it's made a very strange world. Even when you like somebody, it's interesting to me. Do you believe everything they say just because you like them?
I tend to believe people I like better more than people I don't like. But there aren't a whole lot of people I don't like. Now, Trump is one of them, but there aren't a whole lot of... I know a lot of Republicans that would probably say he or she is iffy about that, and I can still like them.
At the vice presidential debate, I did hear them say that they're doing a disservice to Walz and Harris by not getting them out to the press and letting them do interviews, and I've noticed in the last week they've been everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, Harris I've seen on The View, I've seen her on 60 Minutes, I saw her on a podcast, I saw her...
The number one podcast.
Podcast in the country, and she was also on some other show recently. I mean, she did The View, which is a live show. She did 60 Minutes, which they're not lightweights over there. I mean, she's done a lot of interviews in the last week.
She had been interviewed by a lot of people before that. It's just something that people drummed up to make her sound like she wasn't.
Well, for 2 months, they weren't doing a lot of interviews.
They did plenty. I never turned on TV without seeing her.
I never saw her do a formal debate with anybody.
Not a formal one. No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
or a formal interview.
Why do you have to do a formal one? She was interviewed by an awful lot of people before it.
I think when she first got in the race, I think the only times I heard her speak, now that I'm thinking about it, was at rallies.
Yeah.
Like, I think just videos of rallies.
I think there are different questions when you're running for president than when you're not.
Okay. And
I think that was a disservice that they kept them away, because a debate is not a rally.
We now have a month and they're talking about it.
Well, they are. That's what I'm saying, is that now they are out on all the shows. I mean, every day it seems like she's done a show, and I think I saw Walz on Jimmy Kimmel. So he's getting around too. Yeah, so there you go.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, the thing was, that was used by good PR people in the Republican Party to cast dispersions upon those two candidates. And I don't honestly believe it had anything to do with reality. It had to do with the way they were spinning it.
No, I don't think she did any interviews, though, a formal interview. From the time she got the nomination until
what is a formal interview? And
sitting down with,
do you have all her interview stuff on?
Sitting down with CNN and answering questions.
I don't know whether she did or not. And I don't think most people would know whether she did or not.
I mean, I guess I don't know for certain. I would say at the very least, I do not recall her giving many interviews.
And one of the things that people wanted to know that she should have done, I thought, is get a better biographical output so that people knew who she was more than she did it early. But I knew who she was, and I didn't have to work very hard to find it.
Is she starting to wear down? I mean, she had this big explosion when the announcement was made. Is she starting to wear down now that the conventions are over, the debates are all over?
I think the debates and the convention, I think, blew her up. But I don't think she's wearing down. I just think it's not as obvious.
The country is certainly split, and because of that, we're going to do another episode this week. So stay tuned, and remember, check out... Did you grimace at the camera there? What happened?
I'm concerned that my derriere is going to sleep.
No, you're fine. As long as the head's still working, the derriere can go to sleep. Remember to check out ourfriendlyforest.com for all of these great items: presidential predicto, figure, yes, pen, and Christmas card and birthday card. And Glenn and Matt will be back with me for another episode. And we're going to talk about all kinds, a myriad of things. But for this episode of The Exchange, this is Scott Spears heading for the dugout.